Hey guys, Lily Jean Berry back for the Faction and Kill Your Stereo. Oh, their 10th studio album, Misery Made Me, is out today. A band of 22 years that continues to expand and grow their sound platform and fan base. I'm in the virtual presence of heavy music legend Shane Told of Silverstein. How are you, Shane?
Hi, I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Congrats on album release day. The album is so dynamic. It's got such a throwback to your heavier roots, but includes, all the new incredible vocals and catchy hooks that we've just learned to love so much from your band. It's really just a beautiful piece of work. And I know it's only been a few hours and might not even be the whole world yet, but how are you feeling about the response so far?
Oh yeah, no, pretty good. I think whatever time I'm in right now, I think it just dropped in the UK. So, things are trickling in. I've been on the phone interviews, which believe me, I love to talk. I love this. I love to talk about new music. This is amazing. So I am super excited. I think musically this album, it's a little bit cliche, but it really does have something for everyone.
It
Um,
does.
it's yeah, it's a very diverse record. You talk about, some of the punk hardcore roots, like a song like Die Alone definitely is about as hard and fast as we've ever gone. And then there's something like The Alter Mary, which is like pretty experimental,
Oh,
and I pretty strange Silverstein song, but also, like you said, yeah, it's got a lot of catchy bits. I find myself singing that one in the shower from time to time. And lots of stuff in the middle too. Some absolute bangers like Ultraviolet, Slow Motion, and Don't Wait Up. So we're just feeling really good about this album as a whole, and I think I like it a lot better than our last album. I think our last album, don't get me wrong, I think there's some amazing songs on that, but this album feels a little bit more like a complete Silverstein record in that it has the peaks and valleys, it has the dynamics, whereas the last record was like it could have been 12 singles. So I think
yeah.
a little more experimental. Um, for me, a little bit more fun, a lot more screaming, and over. It's just a great time to. It feels like a great time to put out a record too, because where we are now, things are starting to open back up. The
Yes.
masks are gone, uh, things like that. So really, just riding a supreme high today on release date.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Um, One of the things that I wanted to really touch on was all the amazing features on the record, like Andrew from Comeback Kid, Nothing Nowhere, Trevor Daniel, Mike from The Devil Wears Prada. How did it feel to be able to share moments on this record with so many huge names?
Well, it's been awesome. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, anytime you're able to get that kind of talent, to be like, hey, will you be on a record? And they like actually, you're like crushing your fingers, and then they say yes. You're like, yeah, oh, and then they deliver the track, and you're like, just your mind is blown. That feels so good, and all of those people you mentioned are just incredible talents. But one thing that's really struck me as a cool thing was, you know, this record is really a record for everybody. In that we lived the last 2 years, everyone in the world, we all lived this together, and we all went through
Times.
own version of horror
Yes.
um, throughout this pandemic. So, we really wanted the lyrics and everything to be relatable. But what was really cool was when we collaborated with these other artists, they're from, well, Andrew's from, our area, but the other guys are from, different countries. And
Yeah.
for them to add their own kind of perspective on what we're going through, especially, just the emotions of the pandemic and the mental health aspect. So for them to be able to add in those parts, like Trevor Daniel, for example, when he did his part and I got that back, it was like it was just so like it was haunting to me how much I could relate to that, even though I've never met him before, you
Yeah.
know? Oh, yet I could relate so much to his lyrics, and he said the same thing about, that song. So I think that that was such a beautiful thing to combine forces with other artists to showcase what a record this is for the world, and hopefully something that people can take away from it, and help deal with the continued aftermath that we've faced from the the last couple of years of just how difficult it's been.
It really has been. And just particularly to that song with Trevor Daniel, I love the way that your vocals kind of work together even though they sound nothing alike. Like I one of the words I used when writing all my notes from each song was that it was just kind of mesmerizing, and you get really really lost in that moment. um and speaking to the chaos of the world right now, I know this track came out a while ago, but I still find myself like nonstop listening to the politically charged Bankrupt. It's just so fucking hard to exist in all the chaos of our world right now. And particularly after the challenges from the last sort of 2 years, it feels like all of the challenges now are people's choices. Like COVID was inevitable and it just happened. But, what's going on in all different parts of the world, it's just chaos. In Australia, we're about to face a federal election, and what's going on in the southern states in America. Don't even start me on Ukraine and Russia. Like, it's just wild. I guess what I wanted to ask you was, does releasing this album in this time give you some hope and solace through the crazy? And do you hope that your fans can also get that with Misery Made Me?
Wow. What a question, man. Can I don't know? Like, is it okay to say I don't know? My mom always said
Yeah,
if you say you don't know, just you
yeah,
know what I mean? Um, man, I hope so. I hope that people can use some of our music to cope with things, and I hope that maybe this also maybe brings us together in a way that we can
yeah. I think
hopefully
so.
hours here, and just get through some of this awful shit that's happened. And you bring up all the things happening now. Of course, we've dealt with all kinds of civil rights issues too over the last couple of years, and we've been continuing down that road. And I think one thing that I've felt really good about is how people have come together and rallied together, and that us, whether it's a song, well, like writing a song like Bankrupt, um, isn't a song that feels like it's taking a side or polarizing or anything. It really is something that I think we all get behind,
I
which is,
agree.
billionaires, they keep getting richer, and then families are struggling right now, and they're not, and there's no help, and it's like, it's a terrible thing. But that song, was the first one written, and it was really just how angry we were about that issue. But it's also interesting because I think it was written because it's a song about other things. It's not an internalized emotional song, because we weren't there yet. We weren't
Yes,
ready to write those kinds of songs when Bankrupt was written. And then, as we the next song we wrote was It's Over, which was a song a lot more, about internalizing and dealing with some of the emotions and the fallout of what we were going through. So that's kind of an interesting little tidbit. But no, I think, The Ultramarine and Bankrupt, both being songs about just just how shitty the world is right now to
yep.
so many people, and the struggles are real. And, I mean, it's I wish there was something we could do to fight against this problem. It's global problem.
I think that, like, beside all of the problems and issues that are going on everywhere for everybody, I know this sounds cheesy, but like, music is the universal language, right? So for everyone to be able to unite over, especially an album like this, where it's just like, there's so many like anthematic moments, and you just want to sing along. Like, I just was in my car and I was like, I can't wait to know every single word to every one of these songs so I can just sing along, because that's a beautiful release. And I thank you for putting out such beautiful music like this in a time like this, so that we can all have something all over the world just to cling to.
No, if that's such a wow. I'm speechless. That's amazing that feel that way. a part of that, a small part of that, and I think, um, mu- you're right though. Music is a universal language, and I think that so many people, it means so much to so, we have to continue with music to express ourselves. Even in a world that seems to be increasingly not wanting you to, you know what I mean? And that really sucks. So I think that, yeah, I mean, we just, every single song we put our hearts and our souls into, and we really put in the time and the work, with every single little bit of this record. So um, I hope people check it out, and I hope that people take something from it. And I think that it's a record that truly people can make their own, because yes, music is a universal language. Unfortunately, so is heartache, and
Ooh.
so is the raw emotions of pain that so many of us go through. And hopefully people see some hope in some of these lyrics, and can get through it.
Well, I certainly have. And I want to touch on one song in particular. Sorry, you've brought it up a couple of times, the Altar Mary. For me, when that track came on, I had to like go and check that I was still listening to the same song at like the halfway point. I was like, wait, hang on a
Mhm.
second. It actually kind of feels like the altar and then Mary and then like two separate songs. And I love that you said before it's experimental. Like for me, that's just like the biggest standout. And I've written that in my review, and it's definitely my favorite song on the record. So my last question to you, which I'm sorry, it's the worst question to ask, but what's your favorite on the record? Yes, you have to pick a favorite child. What's your favorite on the record that you just can't wait for everyone to fall in love with?
Well, I'll touch on the Altar Mary. I mean, for me, I don't know if that's my favorite. It is hard to pick, but do. I am really proud of what we did there, and it's kind of cool because they are two separate songs. They are put together on one track, and they are completely different in terms of their musical composition.
Yes.
However, lyrically, they really, really fit together beautifully and really well, and that's kind of how that came to be. Was we had these two songs that were not really complete songs. They were both kind of under 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't really sure how to complete, I'll use hand quotes, complete them,
Yep.
because it doesn't have to be 3.5 minutes to be a complete song. So we really liked how they flowed, but we weren't sure, what to do. So we had this idea to push them together, and turn them into this kind of epic, uh, strange song. So, it's the perfect ending, I think, to side A of the album, and something that we're really excited for people to hear. I think, you asked how the reactions, going. I think probably in a few hours I'm gonna start having people write the Altar Mary and the little like mind blown
Yeah.
emoji that happens. Uh, but no, if you want me to actually pick a song, a favorite, I'm gonna go with "Don't Wait Up." I feel
Yeah.
like it's really cool in that it has this sort of throwbacky emo kind of vibe to it. But it's still kind of like catchy, and kind of move to it. I just love the bridge, and yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I love how that song starts with such a like catchy thrashy riff, and that lyric in the middle, I need something to fuck me up because I can't take the truth. I was just like, I just want, that meme that's like turn it up and he's like putting his fist in the air and like crying. I'm like, that's just that moment.
I have a funny little anecdote about recording that line. So yeah, I need something to fuck me up because I can't take the truth, or whatever the lyric exactly is. And every time I was singing in the studio, and the producer had me do the line a couple of times, and then he talked to me on the headphones and said yeah, I just think like the fuck needs to be like a little more like, like, and I was like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like it's subdued, it's emotional. And he's like, just try it. So the take was something like, I need something to fuck me up, and uh, like there was like a big new metal like fuck in the middle of that song at one point. And knowing Sam, our producer, he probably kept that take. So
He's
yeah,
secretly wishing that he had it on there.
yeah. I mean, do you that fuck was full on corn, or is it okay the way it is?
I love it. I love it. Honestly, that's a beautiful moment on the album, and yeah, just one of the many moments that you feel really emotionally connected to your lyrics. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Australia loves you. We can't wait to hopefully see you back here very, very soon, especially considering the wild that was Unify the last time you were here. Everyone who's listening, please pick up a copy of Misery Made Me. It's out in Australia now. It'll be out everywhere very, very soon. It's exactly what you need right now, I promise you. Congratulations and thank you so much, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can't wait to come back.
Fingers crossed soon.